Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call this special meeting of the Sequim City Council to order. If everybody will please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if the city clerk could please take roll call.
Councilor Dan Butler,
Here.
Councilor Vicky Lowe. She's attending remotely. Deputy Mayor Rachel Anderson. Present. Mayor Brandon Janice. Councilor Harmony Rudder. Here. And Councilor Nicole Hartman.
Is there a motion to excuse Councilor Hartman?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Any opposed? Seeing none, she is excused. All right,
Just a quick question. Is it possible to get Vicky on screen? I know Oleg's out there somewhere behind the scenes. Hey, okay. Thank you. Opa. So Vicky is here. I didn't hear her on the saying she was present, but I just wanted to say for the record, Vicky is in attendance.
I can unmute now, so I'm here.
Excellent. Okay.
Okay, moving on to item 4, public comment. And since this is a limited public forum, individuals providing public comment must not disrupt or otherwise impede the orderly conduct of this meeting. And public comment will be taken tonight under
Point of order. Pardon me.
Okay, the Sequim City Council is holding this special meeting under RCW 42.17A, 555, 1A and B. And I'm going to go ahead and read the actual RCW here. It says the use of public office or agency facility in campaigns, prohibition and exceptions. No elective official nor any employee of his or her office nor any person appointed to or employed by any public office or agency may use or authorize the use of any of the facilities of a public office or agency directly or indirectly for the purpose of assisting a campaign for election of any person to any office for the promotion of or opposition to any ballot, opposition. Facilities of a public office or agency include but are not limited to use of stationery, postage machines and equipment, use of employee of the office or agency during working hours, vehicles, office space, publications of the office or agency, and clientele lists of persons served by the office or agency. However, this does not apply to the following activities. Actions taken at an open public meeting by members of an elected legislative body or by an elected board, council, or commission of a special purpose district, including but not limited to fire districts, public hospital districts, library districts, park districts, port districts, public utility districts, school districts, sewer districts, and water districts, to express a collective decision or to actively vote upon a motion, proposal, resolution, order, or ordinance to support or oppose a ballot proposition, so long as a required notice of the meeting includes the title and number of the ballot proposition. In this case, it is Proposition 1, Education Programs and Operations Levy, and Proposition 2, Construction Bond. And B, members of the legislative body, members of the board, council, or commission of the special purpose district, or members of the public are afforded an approximately equal opportunity for the expression of an opposing view. Two states in a statement by an elected official in support of or in opposition to any ballot proposition at an open press conference or in response to a specific inquiry. 3, activities in which are part of a normal or regular conduct of the office or agency. And this 4 says this section is not applied to any person who is a state officer or state employee as defined in RCW 42521010. So under Council Rules of Procedure 7.20, the council may by majority vote waive the council rules. The council rules right now, Procedure 3.9B and D state. In the city's implementation of RCW 42.17A.555, the city council will not during any part of any council meeting consider requests from outside agencies for council to support or oppose ballot measures, nor will council permit any public comment on any proposed or pending ballot issue, whether or not such comments seek endorsement or are just to inform council of upcoming or proposed ballot issues, nor will council members disseminate ballot-related information. And D, council has chosen not to support or oppose ballot issues as those are left to the will of the people voting. The use of any city facilities, including the use of the council chambers and or broadcast system, would likely be construed as being in violation of RCW 42.17A.555. And therefore, general public comment on ballot issues or proposed ballot issues will not be permitted.
Thank you, Brandon, for reading all the RCW minutia. Given that these are our council rules, I'd like to move that we suspend the council rules of procedure 3.9B and D to hold tonight's special meeting.
And there's a motion on the floor.
I'd like to second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
I just have a statement. And it's a tough one because I know a lot of people here and I really hope that they don't think less of me. But sometimes the stuff is really challenging. So I did write something up because I didn't want to lose any of it while talking. So first and foremost, I really do value the partnership with the school district. You guys are great, and I highly value everything that you do for the kids in Sequim and the Greater Valley. I do believe that better schools is one factor that leads to better opportunities in gaining more qualified employees in highly needed areas like our medical system. I also believe that it's important to follow rules if you're going to have them in an effort to stay trustworthy and unbiased and in an effort to stay in your own lane. I also feel that sticking to our rules is important for us to be taken seriously as a legislative body. If we do not stick to our rules, then we need to change them or figure something out. And I am still awaiting a response from the PDC regarding making these changes, since it was a follow-up question after I got information from them last week. Third, it's just a personal note, I guess, of I kind of feel like a hypocrite talking about something that will increase what citizens are paying when I have voted to not increase taxes in the past. And next, new paragraph. In my experience, people will vote the way they intend to vote, regardless of council's support or not. This includes people who have been educated on impacts and consequences in people who have chosen to not be educated. There is nothing preventing individual council members from supporting measures on their personal time outside of city resources. And lastly, I understand that other people, including other council members, will likely feel differently than what I'm saying, and that's totally okay. We're free to have our own opinions. Please know that with my statements, I'm not trying to be a bad guy. I'm not trying to be confrontational. I'm simply stating my beliefs on the subject of suspending council rules. To me, it sets a precedence, and my biggest hope is that it doesn't end up being a challenge in that we keep a partnership with one agency when they request something, but in the chance that, council has the opportunity to not support a request for or from a different agency, I'm worried about losing that partnership. And so that's all I had to say.
Any further discussion? All right, City Clerk, please take a roll call vote.
Councilor Butler,
Aye.
Councilor Lowe,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
No.
Mayor Janice,
Yes.
Councilor Rudder.
Am I allowed to abstain?
No.
I'm sorry. Right now I say no.
The motion doesn't pass because there is not quorum. 3 yeses and 2 nos. And 4 votes are needed.
Excuse me, City Clerk, that would be typically the case for ordinances, other things like that. But I am fairly certain that for matters such as this, it's a majority of those present, not of the full sitting council.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Motion pass 3-2.
All right. With that, we'll move on. Item 4, public comment. All right. This is limited public forum. Individuals providing public comment must not disrupt or otherwise impede the orderly conduct of the meeting. Public comment will be taken tonight under RCW 42.17A.5551B, allowing members of the public an approximately equal opportunity for the expression of an opposing view. This is not a forum for hate speech. The city of Sequim supports the public's First Amendment right to free speech, but it does not support hate speech. Speakers are expected to be courteous and refrain from making hateful comments, sounds, or remarks. Any offensive words and conduct shared by the public do not reflect the city's values. The city of Sequim stands firm in its commitment to being an inclusive community and rejects discrimination of any kind. City Clerk.
For individuals attending in person, please take a moment to silence your cell phones. No one has signed up for remote public comment. And no one has signed up on the sign-in sheet for opposition to the proposed levies. So I will take public comment tonight from the support for school district levies 1 and 2, starting with Sarah Lynn.
Good evening. Thank you for listening tonight. My name is Sarah Lynn Pozernick, and I'm here in my capacity as the president of the Sequim Education Association, or more colloquially, the Teachers Union. And I'm proud to speak on behalf of that union in support of these two propositions. I'd like to give some reasons why. First, I think many of us would acknowledge that schools are the heart of our communities. They represent the hope of our communities and the future. And I've been teaching here in Sequim since 2012 and had 2 students come through the school system. And I have to say, I'm impressed at the resiliency of our students and their families, because our learning conditions are not ideal. The buildings we teach in they're past their time. Some examples are science labs, which were built while the Vietnam War was still happening. The bond was passed. And we use those facilities to train those people who we hope will stay in our community and fulfill roles like nurses or medical technicians. And we do that, again, in facilities that were planned and built 50 years ago nearly. So it's important to think about what we need in our workforce, in our community, what kind of facilities we need to have that happen. And I think we can do better. I think that our students deserve better. And I think that our students would feel more pride in their community, because they do know what other communities have. And they do travel out of community and they see that. So, you know, I know that when we look at something like bonds, building bonds, nobody likes to see taxes increase, right? I will be one of those taxpayers, we will. But I question whether we can afford not to do this, because these buildings aren't going to get better. They're going to continue to degrade. So I would ask that as you consider this tonight, that you would put your support behind these levies and bonds, because, you know, I think we're at a point where we don't have a choice. Thank you.
I'd like to remind the audience to refrain from clapping or anything. Thank you.
And my apologies for the audience. Each person will have 3 minutes on any topic, and there will be a timer visible on the screen. Thank you. Our next person for public comment is Mike Roca.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Janice, members of the City Council, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Michael Roca, and I'm here to express my strong support for the $150 million construction bond for the Sequim School District. I speak tonight as a parent, property owner, taxpayer, and business owner in the city of Sequim. Our schools are facing an urgent need. The aging infrastructure has reached a point where continued repairs are no longer feasible or cost effective. Renovations alone would cost significantly more over time, leaving taxpayers with an even greater financial burden. The most practical solution is to replace these outdated facilities with modest, functional new buildings that meet the basic educational and safety standards of today with a construction bond. There has been talk about the cost of such a bond, specifically the interest associated with it. This bond comes with an estimated interest of $100 million, bringing the total cost to $250 million over the life of the bond. While this may seem substantial, it is important to understand that by securing this bond at a favorable tax-exempt interest rates projected between 4.5% to 5.5%, we are ensuring that the costs remain as manageable as possible. Compared to commercial borrowing rates, this is a more cost-effective solution that ultimately saves the taxpayers money. Even with the added cost of interest, this bond is the right choice for several reasons. First, it addresses the immediate needs of our school district, preventing higher costs in the future. Delaying action will only compound these issues with our infrastructure and lead to escalating repair bills that far exceed this investment. Second, using a bond spreads the cost across generations, ensuring that it's shared by all those who will benefit from these improvements, our children, grandchildren, and even new residents who move to Sequim in the years to come that benefit from new buildings will share in its costs. This approach is equitable and reflects our community's long-term vision. I also want to emphasize that this bond is not funding luxury or state-of-the-art facilities. This district has made it clear that the goal is to provide modest, necessary accommodations for students, staff, facilities that are safe, functional, and built to last. These are basic investments in the education and well-being of our students, not extravagances. But the benefit of this bond goes beyond the classroom. Strong, modern schools are essential to attracting families and professionals to Sequim, including the healthcare workers we so desperately need. Our hospitals are facing critical shortage of doctors, nurses, and other healthcare providers, leading to increased reliance on expensive travel nurses and staff overtime. This has driven up hospital operating costs that have eventually been passed on to the taxpayers through hospital bonds and higher healthcare expenses. By providing high-quality schools, I believe we make Sequim more appealing to these professionals, helping to stabilize our healthcare system and reduce these added expenses. In this way, supporting the school bond is also an investment in the health and well-being of our community. I urge you to support this bond and help us provide the necessary resource to build a stronger, more sustainable future for Sequim. Thank you.
The next person for public comment is Troy Z. I will let you say that into the record when you come to the podium.
It'll come up. Okay. I just want to express my gratitude for you all listening to this tonight, and also your candor tonight for potential opposition, and just taking in consideration all of the things that go into a big ask like this. It's never easy to ask the community for money to do things. So my name is Troy Zablowski. I'm a father of a second grader at Gray Wolf. I'm a volunteer on the Long Range Facilities Planning Group and a professional with a background in helping building owners make strategic and cost-effective repairs, upgrades, and maintenance plans to their building stock. I believe we all agree that the infrastructure of many of our schools is aging out. While the grounds have been well maintained, the construction methods of the 1960s and 70s are now hindering our outright and preventing necessary upgrades, rendering them inefficient by today's standards. It's as if we're driving a car with bald tires, warning light flashing, parts that are no longer available, and the family doesn't fit inside of it anymore. If this were a car, we would be at the dealership right now shopping. The bond measure before us addresses the most pressing needs of our facilities, with a consideration to its financial effect on individuals in the community. An approval of this bond will result in reduced energy costs, safer and more comfortable learning environments, and a significant reduction in ongoing maintenance expenses. On the flip side, not investing now will only lead to continued sunk costs in utilities, escalating repairs, and the eventual need for more reactive, more expensive measures down the line. Just this year, the district is experiencing $100,000 in unplanned maintenance expenditures on these buildings. Also consider this. Over the past decade, construction material prices have surged. Since 2020 alone, 82.5% of construction materials have seen price hikes averaging 19%. This trend shows no sign of slowing down, and by acting now, we can lock up in a more favorable pricing. If we wait, the cost of these inevitable upgrades will only continue to rise. The school district has worked diligently to secure offset funding, including $5.2 million from the School Construction Assistance Program, which helps reduce the difficult ask of our community. Our students spend 6 to 7 hours a day in these facilities, a total of 14,000 hours through their whole education. These are the future leaders, innovators, and caretakers of our community. Let us work together to build them a place where they can be proud of and an environment that nurtures their potential and makes them want to stay, grow, and give back to the community that supported them on their journey to adulthood. This bond is not just an investment in buildings, it's an investment in our future, in our children, and our community. I please ask you to support for the bond and the Proposition 1 and 2. Thank you.
Dale Jarvis.
Hi, everybody. My name's Dale Jarvis. I live in Happy Valley in the Sequim School District. As a retired CPA and avid home remodeler, and a strong supporter of the community, one of the things I did recently was tour the Sequim school buildings. And what I saw, I have to say, kind of freaked me out because what was in the buildings were things that I have torn out of remodel projects that I've done, like aluminum wiring, galvanized pipes, clogged sewer drains, and stormwater drains, and because we don't have sewers here. And I looked at the electrical transformers in the buildings, and it reminded me of when I did the underground tour of Port Angeles last November, where it looked like something out of the 1920s. The transformers, some of the transformers that are in the buildings are so old that they're literally not replaceable. Many of the parts that break on a regular basis can either only be found on eBay or cannot be found at all. And what I think people in this community don't realize is that there are several failure points in the system right now where if the transformer in the auto shop goes out, which supplies several of the buildings, those buildings, the fire alarms will not work and those buildings will not be occupiable. And the list goes on. The aluminum electrical wiring is very dangerous. It's been pulled out of most places in this country. That's what you have in the school. We have in our schools now. And if we don't pass the bond issue, if we don't get support from the community, we're going to either have children that are not able to go to school because of school closures, if failures, which I think potentially will happen within the next few years, occur, or we'll have to come up with emergency fixes that will cost a lot more than what something like this would, and we wouldn't be solving the problem. So I understand why people don't want to pay more taxes, but this is a case where we really are back up against the wall. And I don't think, and if we choose not to support the bond issue, the consequences make me very, very scared. Thank you for listening.
Heather Nelson.
As this process started, I realized I left my talking notes in the car, so you guys get me off script. Enjoy this today. My name's Heather Nelson. I am a parent of students in the Sequim School District, one at Grey Wolf, one at Helen Haller. I also was a part of the Long Range Facilities Plan group that came up with the recommendations for this bond. And I, of course, come here today just asking for support for Propositions 1 and 2. Not just because of everything I learned while on that committee, not just because of everything I saw, which we've all seen it, and it is scary, but also because what my kids talk about as students at the school, whether it's my first grader who said, "Oh my gosh, Mom, it was so hot at school today," because on those hot days there was no cool air. Or why don't we eat in our classrooms instead of a cafeteria? Because there's no cafeteria at Grey Wolf. Or my tween, who's very tweeny, who she may not know about the wiring and what's going on in the walls and why things are the way they are at Helen Haller. She just knows it. The vibes are off, right? But I just kind of want to take my background as a communicator, storyteller, and actually just kind of share an anecdote with you. of a story I heard recently that I haven't been able to stop thinking about. And it starts when I think about my kids, when they're not really wanting to get up for school, one of the things I can always pull out of my pocket to get them in the car is, hey, your friends are going to be there. They're excited to see you today. Well, recently I took my first grader to a play date, and as he's off playing with his friends, I'm talking with the mom, and she told me something that really surprised me, which was that her family's thinking about moving out of town, not just out of town, but out of state. And this was curious to me because I know that they're from here. She grew up here. She said, I've never lived more than 5 minutes from where I grew up. Grandparents are here, cousins are here. And she said, we are looking specifically at what is happening in this upcoming election to decide what we're going to do with our family. There's a history over the last 28 years of these school bonds not passing, or the bond of the library not passing. And to her, she said, my husband and I look at that and we think, we're not sure if this community loves us as much as we love it. So they are looking to see what happens in February. If it passes, if it doesn't pass, they said, we think it's time to go. We love this place, but this is not the education or the environment that we want our kids. The opportunities that we know are out there are not here for them. If it does pass, okay, this restores our faith in the community that we love. We're ready to stay because they're going to stick behind us and they're ready to invest in our kids and our community. And to me, that told me everything I needed to know about how important this bond is and this levy is, so that when my kids are having a hard time getting out the door in the morning, I can still tell them, hey, your friends are going to be here. Thank you.
Nick Bell.
Hi, I'm Nick Bell, parent for student Grey Wolf. My wife and I are proud parents of an amazing 8-year-old who attends Grey Wolf Elementary. In Sequim, I'm a volunteer at a local public radio station and with Collin County Search and Rescue. Additionally, I lead a volunteer program at Grey Wolf Elementary, while my wife works as a substitute doctor at OMC, filling in for vacancies in the surgery schedule. We're honored to be a part of these teams and take pride in contributing to our community. We've been renting here for about 4 years and are currently considering where to live in the peninsula and buy a home. During this time, we've discovered that we are not alone in this journey and that many other parents that we've met are also at a crossroads regarding this future choice. Silverdale, Port Townsend, Bainbridge are common contenders between us and what we've heard. While these are fine places, we're truly pulling for Sequim here. For all of us, the leading factor in deciding to plant roots here is simple. How good are the schools? The answer now lies, I believe, largely in the result of this upcoming vote. Here's what families like mine need. We need a clear signal that says you belong here in Sequim. By passing these measures, our neighbors, whether they have children in the schools or not, can show that they wholeheartedly care about the welfare of all children in our community. This support also indicates an understanding that better schools lead to local prosperity, crime reduction, and healthier conditions for everyone. It would demonstrate an agreement that investing in new facilities is far more cost effective than continuing to manage outdated buildings that are far, far too old. As if we were children once, and we needed our stewards and our sages to make wise decisions on our behalf. If we were to place ourselves in the shoes of our own students, what would our perspective be on trying to study without adequate heat in our classrooms or attempting to throw a ball in flooded playgrounds? How would we feel knowing that water fountains are turned off due to health matters, or that our repairs just can't happen due to asbestos findings? How much pride could we then possess in our school, in our studies, or in our community that for 28 years has ignored such needs? I think we know the answer. Thus, we also know how to vote here. As my family is relatively new here, I hope Sequim proves to be a community that honors not only its elderly, but also invests in raising the next generation as a continuum of recognition and respect. Let's support our school's plea for adequate facilities and staff to complement them. Together, let's end 3 decades of bond drought and attract families of young business owners and professionals who bring with them the services and quality of life standards we all seek. Above all, let's support the children in the city of kindness.
Lori Gilchrist.
Lori Gilchrist, I'm a resident of Sequim. I am also a Sequim High School graduate from the class of 1970, and I was the second class to go through the high school, the brand new, lovely high school that we loved because everything was modern. But it isn't that way anymore. So I am the past president of the Sequim Schools Alumni Association. We have about 300 members. We are a 501c3 dedicated to supporting the schools and what goes on in the schools. And we've worked with Superintendent Reagan to try and do our part. And so that's why I'm here today, to show you that our organization is behind this levy and this bond. Thank you very much for listening to all of us. We appreciate it. I think it's covered a lot of ground, and I've tried not to repeat what other people have said. So thank you very much.
Jennifer Lopez.
Good evening. Thanks for having us tonight. I've been thinking about what position I kind of represent tonight, and again, the things that people have said and things that haven't been brought up. I am also a parent of students in the school district, and my kids have always attended Gray Wolf up until last year. They got the chance to attend Helen Haller, and I got to go to parent-teacher conferences and see firsthand the conditions of the building, which were very different from what I have experienced at Gray Wolf, not only as the current principal, but even as a student when it was brand new back in the 1900s. It hurts a little bit that my tweens say that. Anyway, at Gray Wolf, as you may have heard on the bond right now, is a cafeteria. We have a multi-purpose room that's used as our gymnasium for our physical education classes. And over the years, starting with when I first attended when it was brand new, students have eaten lunch in their classrooms and sometimes in the multi-purpose room, depending on the needs of the building at the time. What I can tell you is the significant disruption to the physical education programming and the staffing that comes along with that has made it necessary for currently students to be eating in their classrooms. And so having a cafeteria would be an amazing thing for us. If you've also ever driven in and out of Gray Wolf during drop-off and pickup times, you know that our layout of our campus and our parking lots and things is not super conducive to positive traffic flow. And we, over the years, as our student body has increased, as our percentage of parents driving students has also increased, we've made lots of modifications. We had the CERT team out one year to help us with traffic routing and things. And I think we're doing the absolute best we can. But one of the things on this bond is relaying out of that traffic flow, which is only going to be even more critical with the new residences that will be built in Carlsberg over the next several years. So that's important to us. Again, being a Sequim student from the 1900s, I attended Sequim High School, and these science labs that we're talking about now, we were talking about then, and multiple bond attempts have been discussed to attempt to make a better situation for our kids. That is still important. With the cost of construction, I have lots of family members that work in the construction business. I have my own husband who has personally lobbied for a shop on our property for about 17 years. And every year we talk about it, and it's never gotten cheaper. It's only gotten worse. So when I talk to people right now, I say, if not now, when? We've put it off in the past many times. It's not getting cheaper, and our kids still need it. So I appreciate the support of our community and you listening to us tonight.
Thank you.
And that concludes public comment.
Okay, moving on to item 5, open council discussion.
Quick question. Do we need to state for the record that nobody signed up for opposition? Just in case for,
I did state that at the
Okay.
beginning before.
okay.
Right, there was a statement from Councilor Hartman, but she did not mention whether or not she wanted it read on the record or not, so. But it is in the record.
And just one more quick comment of, I guess I can say it here. I just want to make it very clear to everybody here that my vote was about suspending council rules, not the item that we are voting on. Okay. Just so there's no misinformation going around.
Just a quick question for the city attorney. Does the actual letter of support need to be read for the record, do you think? Just
No, I believe, and city clerk will correct me, but I believed it was published as part of the packet, and the final draft will be uploaded into the Laserfish records resource and be part of the official public record.
okay.
Good evening. Thank you very much, fellow councilors. Thank you very much, public, community members. And I also wanted to take a moment to explain why I voted no at the beginning of this meeting as well. I also share concerns with Deputy Mayor Anderson, who's also a council member, but also deputy mayor, that I have concerns about setting a precedent to call a special council meeting for ballot measures. I'm not doubting. In fact, when I was voting no, I was voting no about suspending council rules and creating, because I feel also that it creates a precedent that makes me very uncomfortable. I, as a private citizen, feel very strongly about supporting our schools and will be casting my vote in the way that I feel most strongly supports the future of this community for my kids and their kids and those kids to come after that as well. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming tonight. It is so, so important for all of us to take this time to have these conversations and to listen to each other and to go talk about these very important, very compelling issues facing our community together. So I appreciate it, and hopefully we all, hopefully as things move forward for the community, we will all be facing a good future for the community. And I know we are, because coming together, first of all, coming together and having robust conversation is part one. And number two, I hope everybody votes in such a way that they feel is for the best of everyone in the community. So thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for hearing me out.
Just quickly to say again with the others, thank you very much for taking the time and the effort to come out tonight and participate in this conversation. As Harmony just said, I think it's very important, and I'm glad that we were able to have this conversation for the sake of the community, but also for the sake of our partnership with the school. So,
Councilor Lowe.
Yes, thank you. And I want to thank all the people who spoke too. My parents went through Sequim school. I got one up on Jennifer Lopez. There are 2 generations. Me and my sisters went through Sequim school district. My kids went through Sequim school district, and now I have grandchildren going through the Sequim school district. And some of the facilities are the same that, like where the superintendent's office is, that's where my parents went to high school. I went to middle school in that building. These are really extenuating circumstances where we have a school, our buildings are failing. So I really appreciate the opportunity for us as a body to support this levy. I think it's important to our whole community, but especially to our children. And I just really appreciate the opportunity to be supportive. Thank you.
Anything else? All right. If not, entertain a motion.
I'd like to move that we submit the letter of support from the city council into the record and supporting the levy and bond propositions 1 and 2 as it's been presented.
I would like to second that motion.
Been moved and seconded. Anything further? City Clerk?
Councilor Butler,
Aye.
Councilor Lowe,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Aye.
Mayor Janice,
Yes.
Councilor Rudder,
Yes.
motion passed 5-0.
Nothing else on the agenda. There's a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
And I will second them.
All right. Thank you for everybody for coming out tonight. We're adjourned.
Thank you.